WWE Hall of Fame has had a huge change to it recently, and I guess we can call this the reinstated class of 2018. And this man originally was inducted in 2005, but due to some scandals, which we will not talk about on here because that's been gone, because of course he's been reinstated, which is why I'm doing this, quite frankly. Um, when you think of people that are wrestling, and when I say by that is when people think of wrestling, they think of a certain wrestler. For example, if you were a fan of Memphis wrestling, you know, the star, like the man that people identified as wrestling, for example, Jerry Lawler, or Bill Dundee, or even Dutch Mantel, even, you know, at least some of the bigger names, but it all gravitated towards Lawler. So, for example, it'd be Lawler. For Japan, for example, you would think people, depends on your era, people like Ricky Dozan, people like Jushin Thunder Liger, the Great Muta, Misawa, Kenta. It depends on your era. Mexico, like El Santo, Blue Demon, Mil Mascaras. And I can go on with the examples. You know, like Florida, Dusty Rhodes. If you were in the NWA, you fought Flair, Dusty, uh, Hogan eventually. Oh, wait, that's right. Because you think about it, one man needs to be reinstated in the Hall of Fame. And this man truly is immortal because of the shit he's done recently and in the past. Because if you can get racism to go over creative control and let you go over, I mean, Jesus, in 3 years, he deserves the fucking Hall of Fame, and that man is the brother dude Jackman himself, Hulk Hogan. And when you think of wrestling, which is, you know, what we talk about this, most people also think of Hogan. Or unless you were a fan of the South, otherwise you'd have, you know, Kerry Von Erich or Ric Flair or Dusty Rhodes or someone like that. But just thinking about what this guy has done in general, you know, of all the great matches over the years, especially from his time in AWA, his matches with Nick Bockwinkel were incredible. In Japan, the guy was a different person. If you watch Hogan, let's do a little experiment here. Watch Hogan, you know, the normal Hogan match, and then watch a match at Hogan in Japan and see how different that is. That is incredible in itself to see that Hogan could actually work, and you know, instead of doing the typical Hogan match. And if you've watched Hogan before, you know exactly what I'm talking about. And you think about the great matches he's had, like with Nick Bockwinkel in the AWA, with the Great Muta in Japan, of course, the Slam Hurl around the world of Andre the Giant, the matches with Randy Savage, the matches with Ric Flair, the matches, I can go on and on, with Sting, even though the 97 match was horrible, and that is another beast in itself. Speaking of WCW, the Finger Poke of Doom being the third man, the NWO, and several other atrocities. Well, the NWO was the good one, but everything else was ridiculous. But we'll get to that. We'll get to that. But let's look, and you think about Hogan. You think about Rocky III as the Great Thunderlips. That was a great fucking role for him. I swear to God, it was incredible. But if you think about it, in a way, without Hulkamania, there would be no WrestleMania. Because if you look back at WrestleMania's early years, it was clearly used to use Hogan as a marquee name. Originally, WrestleMania was going to be called Hulkamania, you know, because it showcased Hogan. But you know, it was the name was changed for the better, and obviously, the name would have been changed due to the incidents a couple years ago if it wasn't WrestleMania. But at the same time, you look at Hogan, and you look at what he's done, you do know of all the politicking, all of the creative control, all the other stuff that he's done, and it is ridiculous. It is ridiculous. What we do know now with Hogan, and basically it was either Hogan goes over or just bullshit happens to where Hogan could lose but still get his heat back or something like that, or grandstand at the end or something like that to get favor back with the fans. It was ridiculous. But let's go over this guy's accomplishments because, again, it is, for what he has, it's surprising it's not more, but we'll go for it anyway. For New Japan Pro Wrestling, the IWGP League Tournament in 1983, the Madison Square Garden Tag Team Tournament, which Madison Square Garden had a good relationship with WWEF at the time, in 82 and 83 with Antonio Inoki, a fellow Hall of Famer. For the Professional Wrestling Hall of Fame and Museum, the class of 2003. Pro Wrestling Illustrated, the Comeback of the Year in 1994 and 2002. The Feud of the Year in 1986 with Mr. Wonderful Paul Orndorff. The Inspirational Wrestler of the Year in 83 and 99, respectively. Match of the Year in 85 with Mr. T and Roddy Piper versus Roddy Piper and Paul Orndorff at the first WrestleMania. Obviously, that's a big match. Match of the Year 1988 against Andre the Giant at the main event. Not Saturday night's main event, the main event. It was a Friday night, and this was the night that over, 14 million, 20 million, something like that, watched this show, making it the highest rated wrestling show in the world at that time. And probably ever, to where Andre won the belt with the twin referees with both Hebners involved, set up the stage for WrestleMania 4, the tournament. Match of the Year 1990 with Ultimate Warrior at WrestleMania 6, another great match. Match of the Year 2002 against The Rock at WrestleMania 18, another incredible match. Most Hated Wrestler of the Year in 96 and 98. Most Popular Wrestler of the Year in 85, obviously, 89, and 1990. Wrestler of the Year in 87, 91, and 94. Ranked number 1 in the PWI 500 in 1991, and number 1 in the PWI Years Edition in 2003. Ranked 47 and 57 of the top 100 tag teams in the PWI Year Edition with Antonio Inoki and Randy Savage in 2003 with the Mega Powers. For Southeastern Championship Wrestling, their heavyweight championship, the Northern Division once and the Southern Division twice. For Tokyo Sports, the Best Foreigner Award in 1983. And the Match of the Year in 1991 with Tenryu, December 12th, 91. And when we come back, we'll go towards him being the third man.